Hey guys, in this video I'm covering off fundamental quad setup on the Nirvana. So what are the main things that you need to set on the Nirvana, in Betaflight and so forth to get your quad in the air. I'll cover off the settings on the Nirvana itself, things like your inputs and outputs or your channel mapping, so that is how you select the appropriate switch to do what you want it to do. So if you have a preference for switch A to ARM over switch D or whatnot, how you do that. I'll cover off some basic troubleshooting things like how to identify whether the problem's at my receiver end or at my quad end. My quad won't arm, my endpoints are a bit off, things like that. So I'll cover off those things there. Apologies for the time it's taken to get this video out. It's been absolutely jinxed. I think I've had 6 attempts at making it, and everything that could go wrong has gone wrong, from busting a bind button to forgetting to plug in the mic to running out of battery and all those sorts of things there. Obviously we've had COVID in between, and I'm not shaving this thing off until it's over, but I'll jump straight into it. This is how you set up a Nirvana with your quad. Go. So we'll start off by selecting OpenTX on the top left, and then Model Select. From here you'll note I have a couple of template models here. If you've created a model and you're wanting to create a new model with a new quad, that's effectively the same. It's the same fly sky, whatever it might be. Good to set up a generic template so you can simply tap on it and duplicate the model as opposed to creating a new one. For this we're going to create a new one, so I'll select Create Model. In this case here, that's done that. It doesn't look like it's done anything, but it has, and it's added it to the bottom of the screen. I'm not going to scroll down. You may have a wizard that pops up here that covers off helicopters and gliders or planes or something like that. So it doesn't actually, the wizard, any wizard that I've seen, none of them cover off quads, so they're annoying. So you can tap, to get rid of it, you can either tap outside the square that it pops up on, or if you go onto your SD card content, so that's either eject this here, I've got the lanyard clip off there, or plug in your USB and access it. If you've got that, then just go to your scripts directory and delete the wizard folder, and then you'll never have that pop up again. So now that we've created it, we'll just jump back here and go straight into the first section. In fact, before we do set up the quad, one good thing to check, go to your radio settings, and just on the first screen scroll down to the bottom, and you just want to check to see whether or not it's set to AETR. So you can see there, RX channel order AETR. That's what you want. You certainly want to take note of what the settings are there anyway. Let's go back and we'll go into model. So the first icon, first circle, is your model details. We'll name this, instead of model 47, let's see if I can do this, probably bad for the camera, without mucking it up, so I might just call it YouTube. If I knew that was going to happen. We'll get there. There we go. Model image, select, if you have any images in your model directory on your SD card, you can tap that and that will give you access, or under model image there, that will get you access to those. I've covered off timers and the likes on another video. For the purpose of this, I'm going to go straight to really the main stuff that you need to have sorted to get in the air. So let's go down to our pre-flight checklist. Or checks, and here the T warning is throttle warning. So what that means is that if your throttle is not in that 0 position, if it's up even fractionally a millimeter or so, when you fire up the Nirvana or you select this model, it's going to give you a throttle warning that you need to acknowledge by dropping down your throttle. Now, some people have that throttle warning pop up even though it's all the way down. You might need to adjust your endpoints, and I'll cover that off later in this video. That might be one way to resolve that, but in the interim just remove the throttle warning if you need to get past that screen. The S warning is your switch warning. This is pretty handy as well. So if there's a blue circle around the letter that you wish, or the switch that you wish to assign, that means that the warning is active. So if I cycle through this, you see A down, A, but no, there's nothing there, there's no blue square there, so that means that's off. So what this does is, it's a little bit confusing. The ones that are selected, when you switch on or select this model, it's going to check to see that all of your switches are in the exact same position that's noted here. So it wants A to be up, for example. So I have A as armed, my arm switch, if that's down, it's going to give you that warning. Your global functions, that switches on or off any settings that you've done globally. So you'll note here, if I deactivate global functions, note that it no longer says armed or de-armed. So it's just drawing upon the settings that you have in your global function settings under your radio tab. Internal RF, so this is where we're talking about whether you want to select the default FlySky internal receiver or if you want an external receiver. Very quickly, if you want an external receiver, and I won't cover that off in too much detail, I covered that off in my modules video in a bit more detail there, if you did want more info there. So in this case here, if you did want to have a crossfire or a multi-protocol or an XJT, then switch your internal off, go to your external, and then select CRSF, Crossfire, XJT, Multi are probably the popular ones. AFHDS3 is just coming out now. R9M is also popular, but from there, let's say we select Multi, for example. At that point there, you'd say, okay, we want FlySky, so and then whether or not it's D16 or D8 are the main ones that you want to run there, and just ensure that you've got the appropriate channel range set there as well. Are the main things that you want to watch out for. There's probably a bit more to it, but I'll leave it there, and we'll switch off the external RF and go straight to the internal RF. Okay, so we'll select FlySky, turn that back on, and move down to the mode. So in this case here, we have PWM in iBus or SBus, and PPM in iBus or SBus. As far as iBus and SBus goes, much of a muchness. It's more a case of what does the receiver and potentially flight controller support and have and prefer, in which case I would check the manual of the receiver or flight controller that you have, or both, but typically FlySky gear runs in iBus. Where you would need to select S is if you're adding, for example, I recently bought a Hawk Pro. It's got an S pad on the flight controller. I use the stock receiver, I can't remember what it's called, that came with the Nirvana, the large one, and I wired that up to the S-Bus pad, so I needed to select S to make that work. So that's the only time really that I've experienced the need for S. As for PWM versus PPM, you want PPM. The short answer is PWM is older tech. It uses a wire per signal, I think it is, but basically PPM can speak more efficiently to your flight controller and present potentially some more options there as well. So PPM is the one you want. And again, check your receiver there. That will set by default 1 to 14 channels. That's fine. Your RX frequency you don't need to worry about. With your failsafe, I typically double check this at the end, but just while we're here, let's go into your failsafe. We'll go into custom and we'll go to set. And what we want to do, and I've got this set, oh no, there we go. So what we want to do is have our channel 3, which is our throttle, set to 0. Now you might want to have your, where are we? Well, we haven't assigned this channel yet, so it's probably not picking up. That makes sense. So in this case here, what I was going to suggest is you might also want to have your armed off, but I just want it to drop out of the sky, so I want my throttle to be 0. If you did want, you know, it to drop down at 25% or whatnot, in the event of a failsafe, then you could lift it up a little bit, but I like it just dropping out of the sky. Scroll to the bottom of this page, and then outputs failsafe. Just hit that button there, and you'll note a red line there. So that now tells us what that in the event of a failsafe, what will happen. Channel 3 will go down. Our throttle will go to 0. And again, I like to test this at the end. As far as external RF goes, we've covered that to a degree. Trainer, we want that switched off unless you're wanting to put on trainer mode. So the next screen we'll go to, we'll skip this H, helicopter or heli setup page, and we'll go one more, which is your flight modes. And this really is pretty much about labeling and setting some labels, and so it's a handy thing to have. So FM1 is where we'll start, and we'll just put it as armed. And I'll only do one for the purpose of this, and scroll down and assign that to switch A down. Now you should be able to, there you go, instead of having to scroll up and down, you should be able to, as you can see, select the switch from the menu by activating the switch from here. So we want switch A down to be armed, or arm in this case here. And from here I then, oops, you can see there it says arm, and I switch that on or off. But going back, from here, another good idea is to add your flight modes and maybe your beeper and so forth there. And those labels, I think they present themselves in other parts of the menu. The next one we'll go to is your inputs. So this is where really we're assigning channels. So we'll add the channel here, go to 5, edit. We're going to put the input and we'll call this armed, ARM. We'll assign this to switch A down, and again we just do that, go back, and then we'll name it again, and can't see if I've written, I think I've written an N there, sorry. Alright, and then we'll go back. So we basically, what we're doing here, and you'll note that I've left the VRA there, just leave it as is. All we're doing is selecting switch A down and labeling it, pardon me, a couple of times. What we're really doing is saying, okay, this switch here, I want to use this switch and I want to use it for my armed. That's kind of a label. But let's say, for example, that this switch wasn't being picked up by your receiver. You can assign it here as well. So in this case here, we'll add that one as well, and we'll say, okay, so the input will be, let's call it acro. The switch will be acro mode. D down, and then we'll label it again. Now, to be honest, I can't recall which of these you do or don't need, or whether you need both, but make your life easier, label it everywhere. We'll leave it there for now. So you can see there, it's picking that up as well. Okay, next from inputs, next tab is your mixer, and this is where we complete the kind of process of assigning channels or assigning switches. So we'll select the next available channel, and for the purpose of this I'm only going to do armed and flight mode. So this one here, the mixer name is going to be armed, not to be confused with the arm that's already there. So we'll select that, and this time you can't actually auto select the switch, you need to drop down. So we're going to make switch A our armed channel. That's it. Drop back down and we'll go to channel 6, edit, yeah, that was right, and channel 6 we'll call F mode, and the source is switch D on the right here. Okay. As for your outputs, I'm going to leave it here for now. I'm actually going to check the outputs from when I'm running Betaflight, because that way I can then correct my endpoints as well. But you will note sometimes you might find the channels aren't labeled. Oops, you need to select there. So sometimes you might find, so here there's no label in these channels there. Now if I'm copying, I haven't noticed that in so long because I use a template and mine are already set. So in this case here, let's set our outputs in fact now. Channel number 1 will be our roll. Channel number 2 is pitch. Channel 3, and I keep selecting the channel number, not the text there, is throttle. I will just call that THR. And channel 4 is the yaw. Okay, so they're all done. Okay, just before I jump into Betaflight, I like to bind my quad. You could bind your quad at the start when you're first in this very first screen, and we need to go there now anyway. So when you're first in this first model screen, scrolling right down the bottom where we've set up fly skies, the internal receiver, etc., you'll find the bind button there, so just where the failsafe is there. Now, in this case here, I just want to talk about the receiver for a second. So obviously I'm using an old whoop thing that I rescued. But effectively with this here, when you're looking at receivers, a great troubleshooting tip is have a look at the behavior of the receiver before you bind it. So if I just flick that on, look at the LEDs. I've got a solid red one. I've waited a few seconds for it to boot up. I've got a slow flashing blue one and a solid green one. If I switch that off and then put this into binding mode, and sadly this is one of those ones where you need to hold the bind button down and power it up. Keep it on the green light there. Before that was a solid light, now it's a flashing light. You also notice the blue is not flashing either. So we have a change of behavior, and that's a good sign that it's in binding mode. Now when I push the bind button, then you'll see again that fast flashing green light is now a slow flashing green light. So that's a good indication that, okay, it's communicated. Now with some receivers and some setups you need to actually switch this bind off, so that's fine, and you'll see the blue lights come in. And it should also be that, see if I move the throttle up, some other behaviors might occur if I move the sticks there, and that's a good indication that it's bound. So if it's not arming or something later down the track, then it's not your receiver, or it's not your connection to your receiver. You've got something else that you need to work on. So now that we know that's armed, we'll leave that just there, and I'll plug into Betaflight. Okay, I'll try something a little different here. I've plugged in my quad. The COM port has changed, which is a good sign there. This is not going to be a Betaflight tutorial. There are plenty of videos on the internet there. Let's connect. And from memory, this one's an old flight controller, so it's a bit slow to connect. There we go. And we'll go straight into, I won't bother in calibrating anything there. We'll go straight into configuration. And just check to see that we've got the right receiver settings there. So okay, PPM, that's correct. I would strongly recommend checking the manual of your receiver. It typically has a screenshot of what you need to put in Betaflight. It could also be if you have an all-in-one unit or a pre-built quad. It could possibly be in the quads manual as well, but typically there should be some pretty good detail around what your receiver should be. We'll skip PID tuning. Let's go straight into our receiver and just check to see everything's correct. So earlier I mentioned we set it to AETR, and hopefully that's clear enough, but we want to have AETR selected there. There's a reason I've got this this way. Let's check our throttle. So that's correct. Our yaw while we're there, that's correct. Pitch and roll. However, if we look at the numbers, if we look at our pitch, now the pitch is it's not centered at 1500, and it's also, if we go all the way left, it's at 987, and all the way right's at 2010. So we want that to be 0, 1500, or 1000, 1500, and 2000. You can actually correct this using CLI commands, but I'm going to show you how to tune it on the Nirvana itself. So I'll lift this up a bit here and see if I can manage this two hands. And we want to go across to our outputs. And the first one we'll check, in this case here, we'll check the throttle. And I'm only going to bother with the throttle because it's the same process for every single one. So channel 3 is the throttle, and we labeled it previously there as well. Oops. So we'll select channel 3 and we'll edit that. And I'll align that there so you can see the blue line on the background there is the throttle. And I might change camera angle momentarily. Okay, hopefully the focus works here. So we're focusing on our throttle, pardon the pun, and it's at 987. We want to get that to 1000. So on the right hand side here, that's our minimum, and we're going to go up. Now I know that this plus sign goes up by about 1 or 2, or about half an increment I should say, and this here goes up by about 5. So if we look at 987, if I tap that, it should go to 992, 997, and then we can just tap slowly until that hits 1000, which it has. And then on the maximum side, it's 2010, we hit maximum, and then we drop down, so that's a couple of those I'd say. There we go, and it's at 2000 there. So let's go back there. I might actually check, let's just check the top one there. In fact, I'll keep it on the left stick so it's easier, and we'll check the yaw. So the yaw at its minimum is 987, same problem. And if we go here, we'll edit out yaw. We'll do the same thing. This time we'll hold that there, and we'll see 987. We'll go to our minimum and we'll bump that up. Oops. There we go, and we'll go center, and center's hovering around 1500, but if we go all the way right it's 2010. So we'll go to our max and go down to 2000, and then it's 499. Yeah, that's not too bad. Hovering a little bit, but there, and we've set all those up that way. Now moving this away, just having a look here, I note this one here is the stick low thresholds at 1100. I'd probably drop that down to 1050, and then we'll move on to modes. Okay, quick thing to check before jumping into modes is that your switches are working correctly. So we assigned A and D. You see they're both active. Now if you wanted to add an additional switch or change your arm to something else, again that's in your inputs and mixer is where you set those that we've already done. So let's move to modes, and then we can select for arm. We'll just switch this to auto and then flick down, and then you can see there's our armed, and that's done. And then for air mode, in this case here, we'll just delete this one to keep it simple. And the next one, angle mode, we'll set that to auto, and then we'll flick this switch here.
Acro mode, angle mode.
Okay, so one thing to note, if you're new to Betaflight, we'll cover off that. This means basically if it's in the yellow tab, that's going to be obviously angle. Outside of the yellow tab, you won't find an acro mode here as a menu option. Let's say acro is simply the absence of everything. So when we've got this yellow dot there, what it's saying is remove all the angle assistance or anything there as well. So you can see that's it.
Angle mode,
they're set.
acro mode.
So we'll save that, and that's really it. Thanks for watching, I hope that helped. I probably could have covered off failsafes better, so just a quick note on that. If you're testing your failsafe, remove your props, fire up your Nirvana, arm it, and just give it enough gas or enough throttle to have the motor spinning a little bit, and then switch off your Nirvana, and it should cut off after about a second or two. If it doesn't, quickly turn your radio back on and disarm it, and then maybe change the failsafe settings on perhaps your arm switch and make that channel go to off mode, whatever the equivalent of off is, and give that a go as well. If you found that I may have made a mistake, or I could have done something better, or I missed something, please leave it in the comments and I'll add it to the description so that you can check for updates there. That's it. Hope that helped. Have a great day and stay safe. Thank you.